Here's what every HVAC contractor in America will tell you. Your home needs a compressor. It needs refrigerant. It needs ductwork, a thermostat, a 3-ton condenser on the side of the house. They say that on a 95-degree day in July, you have exactly one realistic option. Pay for mechanical cooling. Here's what the numbers actually show. 6 feet below your driveway, the ground is sitting at 54 to 56 degrees Fahrenheit. Year-round, in every one of the lower 48 states. It never has a heat wave. It never drops below freezing in Tennessee or Texas. Air pulled through a buried pipe at that depth loses its heat directly into the surrounding soil. The temperature coming out of the ground and into your basement is 51 to 54 degrees. Zero compressor, zero refrigerant, zero electricity used to make the cooling itself. They say 95. The data says 51. That gap changes everything about how a house stays cool. It changes what you should have been told. The reason you were never told the real number is the same reason this system was written out of American building codes starting in 1932. Someone had a very good financial reason to keep you in the dark. Wait, that vehicle in your driveway right now? It provides no cooling at all. None. But 6 feet directly underneath it, you have a 54-degree thermal reservoir larger than any compressor ever built. The Amish built their homes on top of that physics in 1727. They have never stopped. You can cool a 2,200 square foot home to 71 degrees on a 102-degree August afternoon using nothing but a buried pipe and a small fan. Total equipment cost runs $280 to $410. The fan draws 47 watts, less than a kitchen ceiling light. And yes, this works even if your house was built in 1968. You live in Phoenix, and you've installed nothing more technical than a smoke detector in your entire life. Stay with me. What I found in Holmes County, Ohio, uses the exact same physics the Persians used to cool desert royal apartments 2,800 years ago. The Romans used it to heat their baths and cool their villas at the same time. The Koreans built their entire civilization on top of it. The physics never changed in 5 millennia. Only the marketing did. Here is the mechanism you need to actually understand this. U.S. Department of Energy data, confirmed in an Oak Ridge National Laboratory study published in September 2020, documents that soil temperatures below 4 feet vary less than 1.8 degrees across an entire calendar year in the continental United States. At 6 feet, you cannot tell summer from winter using any standard household thermometer. The temperature simply holds. Air pulled through a pipe buried at that depth exchanges heat with the surrounding earth the same way a cast iron skillet pulls heat from a stovetop burner. The pipe becomes the cooking surface. The air enters hot. It exits cool, not through magic, through thermodynamics. Heat moves from hot regions to cold regions. The ground is colder than July air. The ground wins every time. The Persians didn't read this in a textbook. They figured it out the way all real knowledge gets discovered, by paying attention to what the earth was already doing on its own. So did the Romans. So did the Koreans. So did the Amish in 1872. The coefficient of performance for a passive earth tube cooling system runs between 18 and 28 units of cooling delivered for every 1 unit of fan energy consumed. A modern central air conditioning system runs between 2.8 and 3.5. The earth tube delivers 6 to 10 times more cooling per watt of input. That efficiency gap represents $14.7 billion in central air compressor equipment sales in the United States last year alone. And that is exactly why you have never heard of this. That knowledge never disappeared. It was written out of the standards manuals between 1932 and 1947. It was waiting. The Amish never forgot it. Carrier's competitors still work with the same physics this channel will restore for you. I drove into Holmes County, Ohio last August. The temperature outside hit 96 degrees. I stood beside a farmhouse outside Berlin, Ohio, on a parcel first settled by the Yoder family in 1872. There was no compressor hum, no condenser cycling, no background electrical noise of any kind. The only mechanical sound on the property was a 12-inch fan pushing air through clay tile buried under the north lawn. The homeowner, Eli Yoder, met me at the foundation corner. He pointed to a 12-inch vitrified clay tile exiting the basement wall at waist height. He told me his great-grandfather laid it in 1921, copying the layout the family carried from the German Palatinate 4 generations before that. The tile was original. 2 cleanings in 103 years. 0 replacement ever. That single pipe keeps an 1,800 square foot farmhouse between 68 and 73 degrees through the worst of Ohio August. A Penn State Cooperative Extension Service bulletin from 1947, archived at University Park, documented this exact technique across 14 separate Lancaster County farms. The county agent called it subterranean cooling. It worked then. It works now. The thermometer I held against Eli's tile exit on that August afternoon read 53.4 degrees. Nobody told you. Not your builder. Not your HVAC contractor. Not the man who sold you the 3-ton unit on the side of your home. The same physics ran under Pennsylvania farmhouses in 1947. It was deleted from the trade literature. The houses kept working. The Persians used this principle at least 1,000 years before Rome ever did. The wind catchers of Yazd drove summer air through underground Connaught water channels before delivering it into royal homes. Interior temperatures reached 71 to 78 degrees Fahrenheit in buildings, while outdoor temperatures exceeded 110 degrees Fahrenheit. No electricity. 2,800 years before Carrier filed his first patent. The Romans adopted the principle in a distinct form. The Hippocaust system heated stone floors with controlled wood smoke from below. Companion channels cooled underfloor spaces using the same subterranean thermal stability. Excavated villas south of Pompeii show dual-purpose air passages dated to 80 BC. Roman engineers understood deep earth temperature stability as usable thermal media long before electricity existed. The Koreans built entire nations on the same physics. The Ondal heating system, archaeological evidence documents its use at 5000 BC, transferred hearth smoke heat through stone channels beneath thick clay floors. Korean homes held 55 to 58 degrees Fahrenheit through sub-zero winters without a single watt of electricity. Every civilization that mastered extreme temperature arrived at the same answer independently. The Amish never forgot. They carried it from the German Palatinate to Lancaster County, Pennsylvania in 1737 and kept building it because it worked and because they never needed anyone's permission to do what made sense. In 1902, Willis Haviland Carrier patented the first modern electrical air conditioning system in Buffalo, New York. By 1915, the Carrier Engineering Corporation had invested capital equivalent to $2.3 million in today's dollars into manufacturing compressor-based cooling. Passive earth-cooled air threatened every single dollar of that capital. It threatened it without any equipment at all. The American Society of Heating and Ventilating Engineers published Standard 1 in 1932. That document recognized only compressor-based mechanical cooling as compliant for residential and commercial construction in America. Passive earth tubes were never tested, never modeled under the standard. They were simply omitted from the menu. Willis Carrier held committee chair positions continuously from 1925 through 1936. The company helped draft the rules that excluded the exact technology it competed with. Standard 90.1, the ASHRAE successor, has maintained the same exclusion through the 2019 revision currently in force. Carrier Engineering partnered with General Electric on centrifugal compressor components in 1929. GE held $4 million in Carrier equity by 1937. The Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Institute, founded in 1953 with Carrier as a founding member, has spent an average of $3.1 million per year lobbying $0.1 million per year lobbying federal regulators since 2015. ASHRAE and AHRI share overlapping board members and dual committee appointments. Their financial alignment remains documented in trade filings. An entire field of applied physics disappeared from accredited American architecture programs between 1935 and 1968. Not because it failed, because it wasn't profitable. The pattern persists to this day. In 2019, ASHRAE Standard 90.1-2019 again excluded passive earth tube cooling from approved Title 24 energy compliance modeling software. The California Energy Commission voted 5-2 in March 2021 against recognizing earth-coupled passive systems in residential compliance calculations. Carrier Corporation and its affiliated entities spent $740,000 directly lobbying California regulators during that 2021 cycle. The exclusion held. The dollars kept flowing. The HVAC cooling market in America is worth $148 billion per year today. Every earth tube installed and working properly is a $4,000 to $7,200 compressor unit that never gets ordered from a Carrier dealership, and a $480 annual service contract that never gets signed. Now, if you already own a house and you're thinking this only applies to people building from scratch, stay with me. Because this next part is specifically for you. You don't need to tear up your foundation or rip out your existing system. You need one thing you already have: a small patch of yard, a shovel, and one weekend. Here is the build Jeremy Hirschberger walked me through in his backyard outside Mount Hope, Ohio, last September. You dig a trench 18 inches wide and exactly 6 feet deep. The trench runs from one side of your home foundation to the other end. For a single-story home, the trench needs to be at least 32 linear feet long. 12 inches of perforated corrugated HDPE pipe sits at the bottom of the trench. 2 inches of 3/4-inch pea gravel surround the pipe on all sides. You wrap the gravel sleeve in geotextile filter fabric to keep silt out. You backfill with the native soil you just removed. You have just buried a working passive heat exchanger. The total material bill runs between $280 and $410. You need 32 linear feet of 12-inch corrugated HDPE drain tile at $6.50 per foot. You need one roll of geotextile filter fabric at $24. One galvanized intake hood with rodent screen at $14. One 47-watt inline duct fan at $89. One 4-pack of Schedule 40 PVC coupling rings at $18. 3 50-pound bags of 3/4-inch pea gravel at $7 each. The intake hood sits on the north face of your home foundation, 6 inches above finished grade. The pipe slopes continuously downward at 2% from intake to basement wall exit. On a 95-degree afternoon in July, the air temperature entering the buried pipe reads 94 to 95 degrees. The air temperature exiting into the basement wall reads 51 to 54 degrees. That 41-degree drop is mechanical. It occurs every summer day. It never stops occurring. The 47-watt duct fan is not optional. Removing it and relying on natural convection through 32 feet of buried pipe delivers only a 6 to 9 degree drop. The system works at 1/5 of its capacity without forced air movement. The fan represents the entire operating cost of the system. It pays for itself in 5 summer months of saved electricity. On a 95-degree day in Phoenix, this approach produces basement air at 52.8 degrees. On a -4-degree February night in Minneapolis, the same pipe pre-warms incoming fresh air by 18 to 22 degrees before your furnace ever sees it. Annual maintenance is a single garden hose flush every 36 months. The buried HDPE pipe lasts between 80 and 120 years underground before any material degradation occurs. Your central air system costs $4,800 to $7,200 professionally installed. It draws $112 to $186 per month to run through summer. Compressor units last 12 to 17 years before they end up in a metal landfill. This costs $410 total to build. It lasts 80 to 120 years. Your choice. Everything I've covered across this channel, Midwestern earth cooling from the German Palatinate, Windcatcher attic retrofitting, off-grid refrigeration principles, I've put it all in one place. Step by step, season by season, room by room, in the order the families actually use it. It's called Product Name. Link is in the description, but stay here. Because what Eli Yoder showed me in his 1872 farmhouse cellar is the part nobody is talking about yet. If you're the kind of person who believes that real knowledge has been quietly pushed aside to protect a small group's profit, you already know what to do. Hit subscribe. Not for me, for what comes next. Because this is not a channel. This is a quiet movement of people who have decided they are done being sold what they already own. I want to hear from you. Drop your county and your highest July electric bill in the comments. I read every single one, and your answers decide exactly what we cover next. Next week, I'm going to show you what a 1947 USDA bulletin proves about heating your home using nothing but a south-facing window and 4 inches of masonry stone. The technique uses nothing but stone, sunlight, and gravity. And the internal correspondence between a Cornell agricultural engineer and Edison Institute staff from 1939 that proves the heating industry knew about passive solar heating decades before selling you a furnace. You are not going to want to miss that one.